Right? The first thing you might want to do, if your sub-Q is still attached, or your superficial fascia is still attached, take your knife blade and make sure that you have it completely separated, because you're going to need to lift up this flap. Alright, so make sure, so sometimes your flaps will come in like this and they're still attached down below. This is where I need the knife blade to kind of separate it in the sub-Q area so that I can lift this flap up and get a hold of it. Alright, so make sure you can get a hold of your flap. But remember, we're going to create imaginary points. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is a little weird because you're going to create like a little hook action. Alright, so again, I don't want to be really close to the wound edge here. I want to be down here pretty far enough away. But I'm going to come up, just like I do any other suture, up underneath this dermis. Now, 2 and 3 is a little bit weird, and you're going to learn more about subcutaneous sutures tomorrow. But this is where you need to lift your flap up, and oftentimes I'm using my forceps to hold it up so I can see where the dermis is, but I'm going to go in. I don't want to be close to the tip. Be careful, you want to keep the blood supply to the tip. So go away from the tip, but up underneath of the dermis. So I'm just, let's see, how far down am I? See it. I'm about a half a centimeter down below, but I'm going to go sideways. I'm not coming out the dermis anymore. I'm going to go sideways up underneath of the dermis in point 2, and I'm going to come out point 3. You see that? Point 3. Pull that through so you can't see any suture underneath the flap. I'm going to reload my needle, but now I need to come out point 4, but I got to position that needle so a little bit differently, so that I'm going to go up underneath this dermis again. About the same distance at point, I went in with at point 1. Come out. So all of my sutures up underneath, and now I'm going to tie my knot. My surgeon's knot first. Now, notice how when I tie the knot, if I tie too tight, you see the flap buckle up? So if you see that, you know that you're a little too tight. You want that flap to lay down relatively flat, maybe a little everted, and tie your knot. And again, this is called a corner stitch, and it's for flap lacerations. So sometimes you have to do the flap laceration first, and then you can go on to the rest of, sometimes there's a linear laceration associated with it. Okay. There's my Now, some people ask, well, what do you do with the sides? You can there's a number of things you can do. You can steri-strip down the sides, or you can put another interrupted suture on either side. But honestly, if you really want the least amount of damage to the flap as possible, so I'll usually just put steri-strips on both.